What's up, everyone? This is the Danger You Go channel. I'm Danger.
I'm Kurt.
And today we're going to be doing another episode of Why Is This Card Banned? This is going to be a dual episode special of Monster Reborn and Premature Burial. Wow, look at those. Those are so old. Those are original prints. Pharaoh's Servant and LOB. Wow. Tasty, tasty. So, for today's episode, we're going to start off by talking about Monster Reborn and why it's banned. Now, we all know Monster Reborn is dangerous. We all know it can bring back anything from either graveyard, as long as it can be special summoned. At the time of its banning, there was a lot of cards it was able to work well with, including the Blue Eyes White Dragon, which had just received a little bit of extra support in the form of Kaiba Man, Synchro decks, which would run both Debris Dragon and Plague Spreader Zombie, where Debris would be used to synchro with your opponent's cards, and Plague Spreader would be used to constantly bring back for extra bonus synchroing, as well as things like Chaos decks and other zombie variants. Premi, which was banned much earlier than Monster Reborn, was banned in an era where things like Breaker the Magical Warrior and Night Assailant were much more prevalent. At the same time, Blue Eyes was still a much important force and very dangerous. There was many other things that were more scary in there, including Monarch control elements, as well as its ability to be brought back and abused with many other cards. As well, though, with those being banned, there's also a few interesting pieces that are legal, such as Call of the Haunted, which brings any monster back from your graveyard. And much similar to Premature Burial, when it's destroyed, so's the monster. Also, we have Monster Reincarnation, which, very similar to Monster Reborn, was also censored in the TCG. Where Monster Reborn is illegal for bringing anything back, Monster Reincarnation can add anything from your graveyard to your hand, as long as you're discarding a card. Then there's also Different Dimension Reincarnation, which is very similar to Premature Burial, but takes banished cards, as well as you're discarding one card to activate it. The same way, if the card is destroyed, so is whatever you brought back, but it puts it back in the graveyard, not the banished zone. Now, so the fact that Call the Haunted is legal is quite puzzling, actually. Last I checked, it was legal at 3 as well. But yet we don't have things like Monster Reborn or Premi. Monster Reborn I can understand, being able to bring back anything of your opponents. But Premature Burial has a very steep cost of 800 life points to bring back said cards. Now, as I stated earlier, Premature Burial is very abusable. Let's talk about a simple combo. You play Foolish Burial. You drop your Blue Eyes into the graveyard, right? You play down that copy of Premature Burial. You bring back the Blue Eyes for 800 life points. And then you'll do something like Giant Trunade. Or you'll use your normal summon for Mist Valley Falcon. Return to Premi. And your Blue Eyes is still there. That's one of the things about Premature Burial is if Premi leaves the field, the monster is not destroyed. But if the monster is destroyed, so is Premi. Premature Burial was also on the same ban list as Giant Trunade originally, which we'll be talking about in another upcoming episode of Why Is This Card Banned. Now, back in the times of Monster Reborn, it was again brought back off the ban list in 2012 during the midst of Teledad formats, where most people were running synchro variants as well. With Debris Dragon being able to synchro with your opponent's cards to summon out things like Stardust Dragon, Plague Spreader was able to be brought back by it without having to use its effect, which would banish it once the synchro summon was completed, causing very many problematic and degenerate plays, where you could synchro summon multiple times with the same Plague Spreader. Also, once it's in the graveyard, you were able to activate Monster Reincarnation, bring it back. Oh, look, it's back in my hand. How about I just use something else to special summon it? Oh, look, it's on the field. Let's take that 8 and turn it into a 10. Call the Haunted, though, has been legal for a long time. I'm going something like 6 or 7 years now. It's also legal at 3, which, though it doesn't see much play now as a trap card, saw quite a lot of play up until about mid-2016, when traps began to fall out of favor. At the end of the most recent Monarch control, where Ether the Heavenly Monarch and Ibris the Dark Monarch were introduced into the game, Call the Haunted fell out after that, when the Tribute Summoning deck had its huge hit on the ban list, where Ether, Panathism, and Stormforth were all reduced to 1 copy apiece. With that, most people thought the deck was trash, and it crumbled. Most people also picked up the next upcoming deck, Zodiac, which now has its own fair share of banned cards. All in all, though, let's take the upcoming promotion that Konami's now doing, where we get the alternate arts of certain cards. Monster Reborn is the first card on this list that we have seen so far, which is also the spurring for this video. If Monster Reborn was to come back even to 1, the ability to pull back any of your opponent's cards, let's take Masterpiece, for instance. If you were to take your opponent's Masterpiece out of the graveyard and put it on your side of the field, not only would that be super oppressive, but it would probably win games. Premature Burial, to take any of your own things out there, is also very important. But, to the point of Premi, though, why isn't it back? I mean, it's very balanced. Its cost of paying 800 life points can actually kill you, and with Trickstars running around right now, it is very dangerous to run that. I mean, not only is the Trickstars inflicting damage, but then bringing back Premi, or bringing back things with Premi, that's complicated, because you're having to pay extra damage out. Now, we all know that it would be very important to get either one of these back, now that we have links. Either one of those could help bring back your pieces to summon out your Borreloads, your Firewalls, and your Topolomics. Those big rank 4s. Or not rank 4s, link 4s. Yeah. But, even more important is the fact that if they're somehow in the graveyard, you can pull them back to the field and use them to summon out other things. With the newly addition of 2 for the TG Hyper Librarian, Synchro decks would love to get either one of those cards back. The ability to summon out things like Ally of Justice Catastor and Shiranui cards in the new Shiranui Lightsworn build that's running around currently. Or in just generic decks that still run Starlight Road, the Stardust Dragon would be another great choice to bring back. If they were to somehow stop it from coming back after using its effect, things like Monster Reborn and Premature Burial could pop it back onto the field. And, once it's there, we all know how great Stardust can be. So I want to thank you guys for watching. This has been another episode of Why Is This Card Banned? This is the Danger Yu-Gi-Oh channel. I'm Danger.
Kurt.
And remember to like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Danger Yu-Gi-Oh channel, signing off.